Hello, and welcome to the Bronx Journal. I am Adavie Gutierrez. The Bronx Documentary Center is a nonprofit gallery and educational space that uses photos, films, and new media to display beautiful exhibitions. Here to tell us more about the Bronx Documentary Center is co-founder Michael Kamber. Mike, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you for being here. How did the Documentary Center come about?
It came about, it came about because my best friend Tim Hetherington was killed in Libya 2 years ago. It'll be 2 years ago tomorrow, actually.
Oh.
And he was a journalist, and he was very interested in diversity in journalism, and using journalism for education, and reaching new audiences, things of that sort. And when he was killed, he helped plan out the BDC, but when he was killed, some friends came to me and said, you know, now's the time to start this center. We've got to start this center up in Tim's memory.
What was your goal into opening this type of center, especially in the South Bronx?
Well, we felt like a lot of photography was being used in Manhattan, maybe in fancy galleries, and being sold for a lot of money. But we wanted to use photography and film as educational tools, basically. We want to do exhibitions and have kids come in from the South Bronx, kids that might not have been in a gallery before, and see the types of photojournalism and documentary work, and see films, and also meet with directors. Everything we do, we have the directors come in and speak with people from the community, from the neighborhood. Same with the photography shows we do. We always have the photographers there to meet with children and people in the community. So we see it as a community building space and an educational space.
So how do you think that the community, since you guys have been open, you guys opened in 2011?
Yeah, we've been there about a year and a half now.
Okay, so how do you see that the community has benefited from the center, and how has it grown?
Well, we've brought literally thousands of people to the Bronx that normally wouldn't come. We've brought a lot of top news editors, people from the New York Times, where I used to work, NBC News, ABC, CNN. They've all come up. Just yesterday we had BBC, British Broadcasting came up. So we feel like we're exposing new people to the Bronx, and the Bronx to new people. And particularly for education, you know, we feel that when we can get young people in the community to learn how to tell their own stories, to train them in journalism, to find mentors for them. That's a lot of what we're doing, is we're connecting kids in the Bronx with mentors in Manhattan and at top media organizations. And so we feel like that's beneficial for them, and that it gets them out into a new world that they probably don't see enough of in some instances.
How do you pick your exhibitions?
We have a lot of submissions coming in now. I mean, we've gotten a lot of press, a lot of publicity, and so people are sending us things all the time. And we look for things that we can connect to the community in the Bronx. If the exhibition doesn't have a constituency, or if we can't connect it to the lives of people in the Bronx, then we don't do it. It has to be something that's of interest to the community. Our last show was Seis del Sur. It was 6 Puerto Rican photographers from the South Bronx. Yeah. Our current show is a show about the 10th anniversary of the Iraq invasion, and we've got a lot of veterans from the Bronx that have come to see it and have discussions about it. So we try to make everything pertinent to people's lives. With
the Iraq War still being so prominent right now, what has been the response of the gallery?
We're careful not to tell people what to think. We're interested in starting a discussion. So when we get groups in and when we get veterans in, we're interested in fostering the discussion between different groups and letting people talk about it. But I think the main thing is that people have come in, and especially young kids who don't even remember the war, really. I mean, they were children when it started, or 8, 9 years old. It's been an educational thing where we teach them about the history of the war. And we hope that it will make people pause and think before, you know, this country gets into further aggressions like this in the future.
You talk about educational and mentorship. How do you go about that, and who do you work with to get kids to come into the center?
We partnership with local schools, and we have some internship programs with local schools, mostly high schools, some college students that come in. And basically, we have a couple of free classes. We have a free photography class on Friday nights. On Tuesday nights, we have a Bronx Documentary Film Collective. Basically, they come in and meet every Tuesday. And We're really trying to, get people to work one-on-one with one another, get professionals to come into the space and meet with young people. We've done that a lot, and try to pair up people who have the right skills with top professionals and media professionals that can sort of help them with their path to the future.
Okay, so how can students find out about these internships when they come to the center? Is it something that you have posted up, or is it something that you can go online?
If they go to our website, it's www.bronxdoc.org, and they can go there and send us an email, or they can come in. We're open Thursday through Sunday in the afternoons, and if they come in, we'll basically tell them about the internship opportunities.
You say you worked for the New York Times. What exactly did you do for the New York Times?
I worked for the foreign desk for about 9 years, and I was working overseas. I was posted in West Africa for quite a while, and then I was posted in Baghdad after that. I covered the Iraq War for a long time. So I was mostly a photographer. I also wrote. I did some multimedia. I did videos for them, and I wasn't only covering war, but I was doing a lot of war coverage. I covered a number of conflicts in West Africa, East and West Africa, Somalia, Liberia, Congo, Ivory Coast, a few others, and then I was back and forth to Iraq for, I guess, 7 or 8 years. I worked in Afghanistan for a while, so I was on the road pretty much constantly for about 9 years.
How do you engage the community to participate in the center? Like, for those who've walked past it and just see pictures on the walls, or don't really know what it's about. How do you get them to come in and see and listen to what's going on? Right.
That's always the challenge. You can't just put pictures up and think that people are going to walk in the door. You really have to do outreach. We do a lot of flyering and leafleting in the community. We coordinate with the local churches, let them know what we have going on. We reach out to the schools, history teachers, different teachers that we feel will have a group of students they might want to bring in. So we're constantly, we're just putting up notices in our windows. I mean, we're constantly doing outreach, trying to find better ways. It's something that we're always working on and learning.
How did you get people from rural areas to trust you enough to take pictures when you were take pictures of the struggle when you were doing photojournalism?
It's always a challenge. You basically try to explain as best you can what you're doing, where you're from. You have to be truthful. Sometimes people don't know what the New York Times is if you're overseas. There are certain countries where it's not very popular to be an American, so that was always a challenge. But you try to explain to people as best you can why journalism is important and why it's to their advantage. People always have a story to tell. I always feel like people always have their side of the story and they want to get it out. And I think basically as journalists, we're sort of the vehicle for people to tell their stories, get their points of view out, get their experiences out.
It's not easy though,
No.
Some people shy away when they see you with a camera, and
right.
So they don't really like to speak. They want to just retract.
Right. Yeah, it was a challenge. It was definitely a challenge in some places. Some places more than others. Especially the war in Iraq was tough because we were frequently viewed as the enemy just because we were Westerners. So, we would have insurgents literally hunting us down and trying to kill us while we were out trying to cover the story in the street. It's a tremendous challenge.
Have you ever had to choose between a great photo that would tell a great story in your life in those areas, and which one do you choose?
You have to get home safe first. That's priority one. If you get hurt, if you get killed, you're not helping anybody. And you have to remember that we always work with support staff, so we'll always have drivers or a translator with us. So if you're putting yourself in danger, you're usually putting your staff in danger, and you can't do that. So you're working in a war zone. There's always risks, but you try to minimize the risks.
For your students, or for the students that come, and what have been their success stories, their experience working with the center?
We did. We had one intern come, and she was actually visiting from Portugal, and she wanted to do a project in the South Bronx, and we started doing a project on asthma and looking at the conditions in some of the housing projects where a lot of repairs go, I mean, a year, sometimes 2 years, without things being fixed, with leaks, toxic mold, all kinds of things that are contributing factors to asthma. And basically we connected her with groups and churches, and she did a tremendous project on asthma. And that project, that exhibition, has now traveled all over New York City and really helped to publicize some of the issues and hopefully make a change, because at its best, documentary photography and journalism should be affecting social change in a positive way.
Yeah, it should, but sometimes it doesn't, especially now. I'm going to bring up a recent event, which is the bombing. How important is for journalists, photojournalists, anybody in the media to be accurate and preserve that history and be accurate with the facts that's going on?
Your reputation's all you got. Once you start fudging the facts, once you start exaggerating, once you start changing photos or setting up photos, you're not a journalist anymore, as far as I'm concerned. And the problem is that once one person does it, it hurts the reputation for all of us. I mean, the public has to trust us, and they have to know that what we're doing because we care about it, because we believe in it. I always say it's really good journalism, honest journalism is the cornerstone of our democracy, and I've got a lot of friends who've given their lives for it and really care about it, believed in it when they were alive, and we try to carry on with that in mind.
What other services does the center fulfill in the community besides having these beautiful galleries and this educational program? What other things do you offer?
We have a lot of movies. We show movies usually twice a month, sometimes even more. And what's really good about that is that there's always a panel discussion. So the community comes in. We get a lot of people from the community come in, and then they have debates amongst themselves. We'll have local clergy, we'll have teachers, we'll have community leaders come in and sit on panels. And so there's a give and take there. And it sort of becomes a community building exercise, which we think is really important. We do that. We do small things. On the holidays, we do free holiday portraits for the community. People, if you're from the Bronx, only from the Bronx, you can come in and get a free photo. We do things like that. So we're trying to sort of engender more and more, really a sense of community where we live.
Well, thank you so much, Mike, for being here. I really appreciate all the information. How can people get in contact with you or find out more about the center?
They should go to our website. It's bronxdoc.org. So it's bronxdoc.org. And they can find email links on there, send us an email, and they'll get our schedule. They'll hear about upcoming events.
Thank you so much.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
And we'll be back with more of the Bronx Journal.